There are questions that keep us awake, even when our bodies crave rest. And perhaps, among all these questions, there's one that quietly pulses within you. How can I become so magnetic that things naturally come to me, not as a fleeting technique, nor as a trick to manipulate destiny, but as a profound state of being, where life, at last, becomes truly receptive to your call? This is the theme that brings us together here today. How to be so magnetic that things come to you. Imagine for a moment that there is a quiet energy within certain people, a presence almost invisible, yet deeply felt. Some individuals move through life attracting encounters, opportunities, and even miracles, while others are caught in an endless search, feeling that every achievement is a solitary struggle. What creates this difference? What transforms a simple wish into silent magnetism? Neville Goddard called this an invisible magnet, the creative imagination that becomes a field, silently shaping the events around us. It's not about persuading the universe through effort, nor about forcing closed doors to open. To be magnetic is not to become stronger, more productive, or more admired, but to access such a genuine state of inner permission that everything begins to move around you, as if life, at last, truly sees you. Joe Dispenza, through The Science of the Heart, reveals that it's not only the mind that attracts, but the electromagnetic field of the chest, a pulse that speaks to the universe before any words are spoken. And perhaps, deep down, all you have ever wanted is to be noticed by existence, to dissolve that old anxiety of not being recognized or embraced by something sacred. Nature holds secrets the intellect cannot reach. The seed does not argue with the soil or beg time for favors. It simply surrenders. It grows in silence, blossoms unseen, while the impatient gardener who tries to force the flower open finds only destruction. True magnetism is born this way, from a place where nothing is demanded, only allowed. If you carry the feeling that no one truly understands your inner journey, that life slips by without a greater purpose, or that your dreams are lost in the void, know this: you are not alone. Here, in this space, there is no need for force, nor is there any rush to the process. This is an invitation to return, a gentle call to your magnetic essence, where being so magnetic that things come to you is no longer a distant promise, but a path of reconnection, silent and real. As we move forward together, let silence envelop you. There is no shame in feeling tired, nor is there failure in wishing to stop searching. What exists now is simply a new way of listening to yourself, to the universe, and allowing things to finally come to you. It all begins now, in this silence, in this moment of surrender. There is a heavy silence that often hangs over an invisible emptiness, difficult to name but impossible to ignore. It's not just the absence of something tangible, but a kind of inner echo whispering, something is missing, someone is missing, meaning is missing. Perhaps you know this feeling of never being enough, of not having what others have, of always being someone waiting for the next miracle. Behind the smile, there is a secret longing to finally be chosen by the universe, like someone waiting in line for life, watching happiness pass by in the arms of others. This longing, when it turns into anxiety or urgency, begins to create distance. This is the paradox of wanting. The more intensely you desire something, the further it seems to drift away, as if life senses the effort and responds with silence. Magnetism does not flourish where there is inner struggle, but where the emptiness is accepted with courage, without the rush to fill it. Many of us try to fill this void by diving into distractions, accumulating achievements, or seeking in others what is missing within. The mistake lies in trying to solve from the outside what was born on the inside. This only deepens the feeling of separation, like a cup that is never truly filled because it rejects its own emptiness. What you seek, love, recognition, abundance, can only find space when the vessel is open, when there is no fear of the emptiness itself. And here, life offers a subtle invitation. Before wishing for something to come from the outside, allow yourself, if only for a moment, to become that very thing in the silence of your imagination. Neville Goddard spoke of the art of becoming internally, even before the outer world responds. It's not about pretending or faking, but about gently resting in the feeling of already being what your heart desires, even when nothing has changed on the outside. Picture now a cup that can only be filled once it accepts its own emptiness, without hurry, without shame. The universe, like a rare wine, finds its home only where there is space, where there is surrender, where there is no fear of feeling your own longing. This is the first secret of magnetism, the acceptance of empty space as a seed, not a sentence. Emptiness is not punishment, nor a mistake. It is where life breathes, where manifestation rests before it is born. Perhaps at some point on your path, you felt that life was always about to begin, but never actually started. Maybe you looked for signs, answers, miracles, and found only silence. Silence is not the absence of response. Often it is the field being prepared, the soil opening for the invisible to bloom. If there is pain, it is understood. If there is fear, it is welcomed. True magnetism is born when you allow emptiness to exist without struggle, when you learn to honor the space within where something new may one day reside. In this moment, simply feel. You are not your emptiness, but the field where wholeness can finally rest. What the universe prepares for you does not arise from urgency, but from the quiet, patient acceptance of your own openness. Magnetism begins here, in the silence that embraces what is missing, in the sacred space where life quietly prepares, in secret, to find you. There is a kind of exhaustion that doesn't show on your face, but weighs heavily on your body and soul. It's the weariness of trying, the burden of appearing strong, the almost invisible need to prove your presence, to yourself and to the world, as if life were a stage in magnetism, a role to be performed. Perhaps you felt this silent pressure, the expectation to be spiritually evolved, the pursuit of higher states of consciousness as items on an endless to-do list. Sometimes, without realizing it, we trade authenticity for performance, turning even the sacred into obligation, and the search for peace into yet another reason for guilt. Mistaking presence for performance is a subtle trap that steals from the soul the rest it needs to bloom. Genuine magnetism does not arise from effort, nor from trying to appear special. It is revealed in deep rest, in that inner space where control is surrendered and energy begins to work quietly. There is a wisdom hidden in rest, an intelligence operating behind the scenes of consciousness. Neville Goddard, when speaking of the state of creative sleep, pointed to the power of letting go. It is in relaxation, in silent permission, that reality reorganizes itself, and the magnetic field is strengthened. It isn't through insistence, but through surrender. The heart, when stilled, creates resonance. The mind, when at rest, opens to frequencies that cannot be reached through effort. On an ordinary morning, you may notice the flower does not strive to be noticed. It doesn't struggle. It doesn't shout. It doesn't try to prove its beauty. It simply radiates its essence, offers its presence without haste, and for that very reason, it attracts the attention of the sun, the bees, the gentle breeze. In the natural world, there is no anxiety about arrival. There is a serene trust in its own timing, a magnetism born from rest and the silent truth of being. In the same way, human magnetism blossoms in this soil, when you allow yourself to be, without demands, without goals disguised as spirituality. In daily life, you may recognize the weight of self-performance, the feeling of not measuring up, the fear of disappointing others, the anxiety of being forgotten by the universe. Carrying this weight is a silent fatigue that sabotages your magnetic field, because everything done out of obligation is born of fear, and fear repels. There is no genuine magnetism without rest. There is no authentic radiance without the permission to rest, to simply be who you are, even if the world does not notice. When control dissolves, the true gateway to magnetism opens, that inner state where life can finally unfold without demands. It is in this state that energy is reorganized, that your deepest desires find their way, that the universe, quietly, begins to respond. The magnetic field expands in rest, not in struggle, in silence, not in noise. Magnetism grows stronger when the soul learns to rest within itself, with no need to prove anything to anyone. Sometimes, the mind believes it can solve everything on its own. We think, analyze, plan, and try to create new realities using the sheer force of thought, as if the head, cut off from the rest of the body, could command the flow of life. But there is a deeper wisdom, a silent knowing that pulses in the chest, in the subtle vibration of the heart. For many years, we were taught that the mind is what creates, that reason determines, that just thinking positively is enough to change the world around us. But true personal magnetism, the kind that truly transforms, doesn't arise from ideas alone, but from the alignment between the heart and what is truly desired. Joe Dispenza, in exploring the mysteries of the human body, uncovered what the ancients had long intuited. The heart is a center of intelligence, capable of creating a powerful electromagnetic field, thousands of times stronger than the brain's. It is this silent field that communicates your real desires to the universe, even when your words say otherwise, even when your mind is lost in doubt. Heart coherence is the key. When feeling, breath, and intention move together, a new frequency emerges, one capable of rewriting destinies. It's not the rational mind that creates miracles, it's the heart, once it finds peace, that shapes the reality which blooms. In the rush of daily life, it's easy to forget this truth. We spend entire days trying to change our thoughts, not realizing that the field around us only responds when there is inner harmony, when emotion and intention meet in a single pulse. This is not some distant or abstract idea. It's something you feel, a warmth in your chest, a lightness in your breath, a gentle silence after tears. It's in this frequency that magnetism becomes real, that life begins to dance around your steps. Now, imagine for a moment, if your deepest desires could be heard as a song, what would your heart's rhythm be right now? What does the melody of your field reveal about what you've been attracting? The personal magnetic field is not built through force or shouting. It is born of harmony, sincere emotion, the pause that connects you to the present moment. This is the frequency that creates, that attracts, that transforms. When the heart is at peace, life responds, not with urgency, not with noise, but with the gentle touch of someone recognizing an ancient call. Magnetism is not a secret locked away in complicated formulas. It is a return to simplicity, to feeling, to allowing emotion to be honest, for the breath to find its rhythm, for desire to find its home at the center of your chest. When science meets the sacred, a new path emerges, spontaneous, silent, authentic manifestation. Thinking alone is not enough. You must feel, you must inhabit, with presence, the frequency of your own heart. And then quietly, the universe begins to listen. On certain days, the universe seems to echo our most hidden feelings through the people and situations we encounter. Sometimes, everything repeats itself. The same pains, the same words, the same closed doors. It's easy to believe that the world outside is at odds with our desires, but in truth, there is an invisible mirror at work, reflecting what quietly pulses within our magnetic field. Relationships that replay, frustrations that return, encounters marked by abandonment or rejection. None of these happen by chance or as punishment. More often than not, life returns to us the very tone of our deepest frequency, even the one we'd rather hide from ourselves. Recognizing this mirroring can be painful, especially when the urge to change the external world is strong. Yet, there is wisdom hidden within these patterns. Every experience that keeps returning is a subtle invitation for inner transformation, not for controlling circumstances. When we try with all our might to change others' behavior, correct injustices, or manipulate outcomes, we reveal where genuine magnetism is still lacking, that inner serenity capable of shifting the field before the scene itself changes. At the end of each day, when silence finally arrives, it becomes possible to notice which situations triggered familiar emotions. These are valuable clues. By looking within, not for someone to blame, but for patterns, the soul begins to break free from the cycle of repetition. Every discomfort experienced in the presence of another, every disconnection, every feeling of being invisible can be an invitation to self-knowledge. It's not about finding fault, but about understanding the instrument that we are, tuning ourselves with each experience as life calls us to the concert of existence. We are like instruments in a vast orchestra. Our relationships, our meetings and partings, tune or detune the melody we emit. Sometimes, the universe brings us exactly who and what we need to perceive our own frequency. True magnetism doesn't come from controlling another's symphony, but from gently adjusting our own tone until the external environment begins to respond with a new song. This is a quiet process, almost imperceptible to hurried eyes. But when the intention is to realign from within, little by little, the mirror of circumstances starts to reflect a new light. It's not about haste. It's not about forcing external changes. It's about recognizing yourself as a living instrument, part of a greater orchestra, where each inner note shifts the melody of reality. In the end, it is the magnetism of the heart, tuned through presence, that transforms encounters, repeats blessings, and teaches the soul to listen and to be heard by the entire universe. There is a hidden urgency in modern life, a nearly sacred rush for results, answers, and signs. It's as if the inner noise never stops, thoughts spinning in circles, questions that never quiet, anxiety quietly growing in the middle of the night. Deep beneath this noise lives a sense that everything must happen now, that any delay equals failure, that being silent is somehow dangerous. But authentic magnetism doesn't flourish in noise. It reveals itself in the space between thoughts, in the pause between an inhale and an exhale, in the subtle moment when desire surrenders to mystery. Neville Goddard taught that the most fertile state for manifestation is not active striving, but deep rest, an almost complete relaxation in the face of your desires. There is a silent truth in this teaching. The most powerful manifestations are born when the mind stops fighting, demanding, or yearning, and the body learns to trust. The fertile field is not the one that is constantly being plowed. It is the soil that rests, that accepts the cycles of time, that allows the seed to mature without urgency. In that soil, true magic is born. In silence, life creates space for itself. A manifestation happens not because you struggled, but because you allowed. In a noise, the urgency for answers are like stones thrown into a calm lake. Every anxious thought, every demand, every fear of not receiving stirs the waters and prevents life from reflecting the light of your desire. The power is in silence, in the ability to quiet the heart for a few minutes, to visualize your wish already fulfilled, and then to let it go completely. Forgetting in this sense is not abandoning your desire, but trusting deep. It is the act of handing over your wish to the universe and allowing it to find its own way back. There are rituals as simple as they are sacred, where silent presence becomes the greatest force of attraction. The practice of sitting quietly, feeling your body, visualizing your wish already fulfilled, breathing deeply, without expecting anything to happen right away, holds a power that the logical mind cannot grasp. In intentional silence, energies realign, the field reorganizes, and life finds a new starting point. Anxiety is not an enemy to defeat, but an invitation to listen. Every rush hides a longing for safety, and every insecurity is simply asking to be welcomed. And perhaps, among all mysteries, there is this. The most powerful manifestation is the one born from absolute silence. When everything seems still, when the universe quiets down, when there is no noise to distract the heart, energy moves with greater delicacy, creating realities that are silent yet deeply true. To allow yourself this silence, even for a few brief moments, is to open the greatest portal to the soul's magnetism. It is to rest in the fertile field of the unseen, and in this rest, to rediscover the power of being so magnetic that things come to you. At the end of the journey, everything that once seemed separate begins to gather in a quiet place, where seeking gives way to rest and doubt dissolves into acceptance. True magnetism is not forged in excessive willpower or desperate longing, but in the serene alignment between what you desire, what you feel, and a trusting surrender to the greater flow of life. It is in this subtle space, where there is neither haste nor fear, that attraction becomes real, not because you forced life to respond, but because you finally allowed yourself to receive. Neville Goddard used to say that the greatest secret of all manifestation is to feel as if it were already so. And perhaps this is the most revolutionary act of all, to rest inwardly in the state of one who already has, already is, already receives, even before the outer world reflects any change. It's not about denying pain, doubt, or fear, but about learning to feel, even in silence, the taste of fulfillment before it appears on the outside. This is where the magnetic field is strengthened, because vibration is no longer an anxious request, but a melody of anticipated gratitude, as Greg Braden teaches. The universe, when faced with this state, recognizes coherence and responds not to the plea that begs, but to the vibrational field that celebrates what is already realized, even when all still seems silent. True attraction does not happen in noise, urgency, or the rush to be seen. It blossoms when, quietly, you become the vibrational home for what you have dreamed of. Everything you desire begins to find you, not because you chased it, but because you became it. In the end, what transforms is not effort, but permission, not fear, but rest, not shouting, but the silence that listens. And so, one question remains, not demanding an immediate answer, but inviting you to feel what in you is already magnetic, even when the world has yet to notice. Sometimes, the greatest strength lies in that which is so quiet, so authentic, so profoundly true that only the universe can see it. Everything begins and ends in this invisible field where magnetism blooms in secret, ready to reveal itself when you least expect it.